Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Match of the Day, covering this week's matches and highlights from the Pokeforum Season 3 Tour. So, before we kick off, we're going to do a little tabloid roundup. So I'm going to read a few excerpts of what the media had to say about last week's matches and any possible drama that there could have been. So I'm going to jump in and start off with the Dilly Daily. This was printed on Wednesday, 22nd of July. Their headline was Jerk Murked and Joe Jaded, which said, the Pokeforum Tour number 3 kicked off last week, and with it the usual drama. After being spanked 6-0, Joe came out and accused JJ of being an alt. Due to these offensive accusations, the PPC, the Pokeforum Pokemon Committee, fined Joe 5 Hall coin. Alas, there's no smoke without fire, and rumours started to spread that the allegations were true, and the perpetrator was none other than Pokeforum's professional battler, Min, who isn't unfamiliar with the use of alts. After besting Jerky 2-0, Min was questioned about these allegations, to which he simply replied, "If it were me, I'd have 8-0'd Joe. Prick." The PPC may start an investigation into these claims, but skeptics believe that the wealth and power of the London money Min possesses is beyond that of the law, and any attempt at finding out the truth would end up in the same ship as Epstein. So there you go, the Dilly Daily covering the drama which Joe started last week after being destroyed by JJ 6-0. He claimed that that couldn't have been JJ because after 12 years without competitive battling, there's no way he could come back and simply take the mick out of him in the way he did. But that's the way it goes until there's an official inquiry or an official investigation. He's just going to have to deal with it and move on, frankly. And in the meanwhile, you've got Jerk, who was 2-0'd by Min, but that's not really... that's not surprising, to be honest. Min is a clear favourite at the moment to go on and win the Pokeforum Tour, as he always is. So, moving on from the Dilly Daily, we've got the Rick's Red Herald. This newspaper covered the drama with Luke and his data mining ways. Their headline was "Wave Goodbye to Your Points" by Richard III. And he said, a lot is being said about the 6-0 thrashing of Joe, but no one seems to be talking about the scandal that is Luke's data mining. For 7 generations, Thunderwave had 100% accuracy, but suddenly, after Luke decided to get back into competitive Pokemon, the accuracy of Thunderwave was dropped to 90%. 10% still may not be that much, but say that to Rick, whose T-Wave miss cost him dearly. It's troubling that in these times of hacking and data mining, no action is being taken against Luke and his nefarious ways. Has he perhaps data mined the PPC? Did he data mine a time machine and purposefully edit the accuracy? Who knows? This week he has to face off against Fallen from Grace Joe. Will he beat him fairly, or will he also use his data mine to rub salt into the wounds? So there you have it. Rick's Red Herald coming out all guns blazing against Luke. It is true that a lot of people accuse him of data mining Pokemon, and it is also true that Thunderwave has always had 100% accuracy, and suddenly last generation they dropped it to 90. So suspicious. And it's also suspicious that the 10% chance of missing it unfortunately missed for Rick. So there you go. Was that sheer luck, or was it actually Luke initiating the data mining? So that's the Rick's Red Herald. Moving on to the final newspaper, and that's the Discord Times. Writer was Prikash Shittus, and their headline was "One More for the Wayfair Scandal." As the Epstein scandal grows even larger, something else completely eclipses it: Hoyle's dong. If you thought what was going on behind the scenes with famous politicians, celebrities and monarchs was bad, wait until you find out what happened last weekend when Hoyle visited Rue. I need to zoom in on this. can't barely read it. Suffice it to say, poor young Rue will need reconstructive surgery on more than just his a-hole after Hoyle completely ravaged the prepubescent child. The half-Welsh, half-Dong went to Rue's with nothing more than lascivious thoughts on his mind and played with Rue like a pro smasher plays with a minor. After Hall had had his way with Rue, he was disappointed to find out that his next opponent was someone a little older and looser, that being Jerky. Let's see how Hall progresses throughout the tour and see whether his dong crushes all who cross his path. And a very nice photo of Hoyle. Obviously, it's like the reverse of the rear view mirror. You know, rear view mirror things appear larger than what they are. This is the opposite. This looks smaller than what it actually is. So yes, the Discord times covering Hoyle's victory over Rue. Rue is no stranger to losing. But yeah, there are a lot of people putting money on Hall because he's quietly amassing victories, you know. Few people didn't really put him up there with the big boys, but so far he's doing quite well. Okay, so after having a look at the media and the tabloids, let's get right into those battles. So I'll start off with the fixture list for this week. We've got JJ versus Louis, Joe versus Luke, Rue versus Min, Jerky versus Hoyle, Declan versus Rick. Okay, that's the fixture list, but that's not the running order. The running order will be Jerky versus Hoyle, Rue versus Min, Declan versus Rick, JJ versus Louis, and finally Joe versus Luke. Okay then, so that's the fixtures and the running order. Let's jump right in and start off with Jerky and Hoyle's lineup and their highlights. Okay, before we do that, I completely forgot to mention this week's special guest, none other than Mr. Big AP himself, as a P, from the shed. He's decided he's gonna get in with this Pokemon malarkey and start playing himself. There you have him. So yeah, the special guest. See what we saying, lads? Been going on this Pokemon's game, Jay. I'm not going to do that accent. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. Game Jay been showing me been smashing kids all day with me shed. Battle as a P and his signature Pokemon, the Shed. Find as a by messaging deal on Discord between July 21st and July 24th. Playing this battle will reward you with 1 Hall coin. Okay, so there you go. Big AP as this week's special guest. And I think at the end of this video, if I can be asked, I'll have a roundup of who managed to beat Big AP. Okay, and now we're definitely jumping into the highlights. Okay then, let's have a look at the formation Jerky has gone with. As you can see here, it's very offensive. It's heavily offensive. You've got Corviknight and Bronzong sitting at the back as the sole defenders. You've got no midfielders, and that's because they're basically playing long ball up top and hitting and hoping that one of their strikers picks up the ball, gets something rolling, and starts sweeping the opponent's team. Not really much to say there, to be honest. So you just got the 4 attackers, McGinn, Barbaracle, Stakataka, and Copperaja, all waiting up top. And then you got the 2 defenders intercepting any balls, stopping any possible attacks, and then long balling back up top for Jerky's strikers. And that's it, really. Nothing more to add. Let's move on. Okay, let's move on to Hoyle's team now. So he's the first manager actually playing a goalkeeper. So you got Swampert in goal. And then as the 2 centre-backs, you have Copperaja and Marowak. Those 2 will be linking up play with the wingers, who will be asked to run quite a lot because they'll be tracking back, but also playing offensively. So they'll be linking up with the 2 centre-backs. Scissors on the right wing, Zapdos on the left wing, And then finally up front, you got the big target man Scolipede. He'll be sitting up top, looking to set up and looking to receive any loose balls from his teammates and get a sweep going. So that's Hall's lineup, a 1-2-2-1. Yeah, with Jerky's lineup, it was a 2-0-4. But yeah. Okay, so we've had the lineups. Let's get into the highlights. Okay, so you've had the lineups, and now let's jump right in to the match itself. So let's see how it plays out. So we'll do that. Hoyle's going to lead with Scolipede. Jerk's going to lead with Bronzong. Hoyle's going to try and get a cheeky sword stance whilst Jerk sets up a stealth rock. The Scolipede goes for an earthquake, but Jerk is running a levitate Bronzong, so that's going to do nothing. Jerk gets the trick room up, uses gyro ball on Zapdos, gets paralysed, explodes, and does absolutely nothing whatsoever. Zapdos goes for a defog, but that fails. Jerk then sends in the Copperaja, uses Heat Crash, but that's not going to do anything. Nor is Heavy Slam, so at the moment he needs to find another Pokemon that can break Zapdos' defense. Because at the moment he can just tank all those hits easily whilst return them with Discharge or Heat Wave. Jerk went for the Earthquake there, possibly predicting an Earthquake, but that didn't quite work out. He then decides to finally switch out to Stack Attacker and sets up the Trick Room. Is this going to be the same situation that Joe faced last week? Uses that Z-Power Continental Crush, gets the one-hit KO on the Scizor, and this is not looking good. Are we going to see a quick sweep from the Stack Attacker, who's now got 2 Beast Boosts under its belt? Stone Edge, that's also going to destroy the Zapdos. This Stack Attack is just tearing the team a new hole here. I don't know how it's going to stop, but the Swampert somehow taking that Earthquake and revenge killing with the Scald, but McGinn is switched in and takes it down with Fleur Cannon. It's 4-2 at the moment. Hall's going to need a miracle to get back into this game. Uses the Flash Cannon and then switches in to Corviknight. Hoyle went for the Earthquake, but clearly predicted that. Goes for the Z-Power Hydro Vortex. That does a nice 69% damage, but that's not going to be enough, and Jerk takes out the Scolipede with Brave Bird. So Hall is down to his last Mon, Marowak, a Alolan Marowak that is. Surely it's just a case of taking home the trophy now. Marowak goes for the Earthquake, outspeeds the Barbaracle, takes that out. Goes for the Flare Blitz, that's going to KO the Copperaja as well. Once again, Flare Blitz on the Magina. I can't believe it. He's completely turned this match around. He was 4-2 down and he somehow brought it back to 1-0. That was a pretty intense match, I've got to say. I truly thought that once that Stack Attacker got the Trick Room up and all those Beast Boosts, I thought it was a good game for Hoyle. That just goes to show that you should never give up and just fight until the end. That's really cringy, Jesus. Anyway, that's the Hoyle vs Jerky match. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so moving on now. We've got Rue versus Min. Rue versus Min. So we're going to start off with Rue's lineup, and that is following. We've got a 2-1-2-1. When the fans saw this lineup, they questioned Rue quite a lot. Many fans calling him out and saying that he has no idea what he's actually doing, because as you can see here, I know I haven't actually put the formation backwards. This is the way he's set up. He's got Barraskewda and Cinderace in defense, Barbaracle as the defensive midfielder, Tapu Koko and Salamence on the wings, and then finally Corviknight up front as the sole striker. So that's Rue's lineup. Not many people know what he was going for. Some even say that Rue basically picked out names from a hat and put them in the position according to the order he pulled them out. Who knows? But at the end of the day, he's the manager. He decides what team goes where, well, what Pokemon goes where. So everyone else just has to accept that. Okay, so that's Rue's lineup. Moving on now to Min's. Min, once again, with the extremely offensive lineup. This time, straight up, no defenders. Last week, he had Mimikyu as a defensive centre-back, as a false centre-back. This week, nothing. He's playing a 0-2-3-1. That's basically using constant offensive pressure to nullify the need to have any defensive players. Basically, the Gegenpress of Pokemon. So yeah, 0 defenders. Mimikyu as a defensive midfielder. Axel Gore as his partner, as a deep lying playmaker, connecting play with the 3 attackers, 3 attacking midfielders. On the wing, we've got Bisharp. On the right wing, Obstagoon, and behind Talonflame, we got Latios once again as the attacking midfielder. Finally, Talonflame up top as the big target man, who'll be looking to set up a swords dance and possibly sweep Rue's weakened team. So there you have it, Min's offensive Gegenpress lineup. Who needs defenders when you can just constantly pressure your opponent and rely solely on attackers? Very interesting playstyle. So we've seen the teams. Let's jump right on into the highlights. Right then, so here we are with the match. Let's kick it off. So Min leads with his Axel Gore. That sets up Toxic Spikes. Barbaric Root going straight on the offensive with a Shell Smash. Stone Edge misses. Axel Gore then uses Bug Buzz, and thanks to its ability, outspeeds the Baracle next turn and kills it. Rue then sends in Barraskewda, gets the revenge kill on the Axel Gore, not before taking a huge chunk of damage. Mimikyu then comes in, Shadow Sneaks that, and takes it out with it. So currently 5-4 at the moment. Mimikyu doing a huge chunk of damage on that Cinderace with its Z power and finishing it off with the Shadow Sneak. Rue then sends in Tapu Koko, uses Dazzling Gleam. That does a nice solid 67%, and Rue's going to be able to finish it off, but not before taking a nice, a huge chunk of damage. So Min sends in Talonflame, Rue switches out to Corviknight, and then switches back out to Tapu Koko, obviously fearing the Flare Blitz. He then switches in Salamence, uses Intimidate, well, gets off the Intimidate. Not that it matters because Talonflame gets a Brave Bird crit. It also turned out that Rue was running Choice Scarf on the Salamence, so he was locked into that Dragon Dance. Who needs to play well when your opponent plays himself? So, Latios then comes in, Thunderbolts the Corviknight, and finishes off Rue. So that was 14 turns, even faster than the last week's match. Min currently on a roll, unbeaten. He's also beaten this week's special guest. So, yeah, he's definitely a favourite so far. Okay then, so moving on to the next match, we've got Declan versus Rick. So we know Declan was triumphant over Louis last week, if I'm not mistaken. And let's have a look at his lineup this week. So once again going for the extremely balanced 2-2-2. He's got the 2 centre backs in Ferrothorn and Vaporeon, each one covering the weakness of the other. Then in the middle, we've got a newcomer, which is Mew. Declan with the one change this week. The rest are all the same. The newcomer Mew being the new defensive midfielder, supporting the attackers and the defenders. And then finally, swapping out Gardevoir, removing Gardevoir and playing in Roserade as the Deep Line Playmaker, who will be connecting the midfield with the attack, but also be asked to defend. And once again, we got the two strikers in Virizion, the target man, and Ditto, the poacher. He'll be looking to steal any stat boosts and gets revenge kills whenever the opportunity arrives. Okay, so that's Declan's home lineup. Let's have a look at the formation Rick's gone with. So Rick's gone with definitely more offensive lineup in a 1-2-1-2. This week, Swampert is not sitting as the centre-back. He's been moved forward into a more defensive midfielder role, sitting in the middle. So we've just got Jellicent as the sole centre-back. Swampert as defensive midfielder, partnered with Crobat as the Deep Line Playmaker, who will also be asked to track back as well. He'll be linking up the attack with Sylveon, who is the attacking midfielder, and in front of them you got Dragapult and Swellow as the strikers, both playing a more potent role. So those are the lineups. Let's jump right on into the highlights. Okay, so you've seen the lineups. Let's get into the highlights of the match itself. So let's start. We got Rick starting with Swellow, and Dex starting with Mew, who's going to instantly set up Stealth Rocks. Swellow's going to U-turn out, do a nice 51% against the Mew, who's then going to set up Spike. So already in 2 turns, Rue's got quite a lot of Dex got quite a lot of entry hazards up. So Swampert takes the explosion, and and Dex switches in Roserade. Roserade is going to go for a Sleep Powder. That's going to miss, unfortunately. So that's going to force Dex out into Vaporeon, who's going to take a Brave Bird from the Crobat. That's going to do 36%. Not too bad, especially after recovering with leftovers. But Rick uses Toxic, gets that on the Vaporeon, and now that wall is severely hampered. Dex is going to roar him away, and in comes Swampert again, who takes quite a bit from the entry hazards that Dex has set up now. Dex is going to switch out to the Roserade, who, I mean, considering the Swampert's a defensive wall, that still did a lot with Earthquake. Anyway, he switches in Crobat, takes the sleep, whilst Roserade sets up Toxic Spike. So Rue now has a hell of a lot of entry hazards set up against Rick, who's going to have to play very, very carefully if he wants to survive this match. So Dex sends in Ferrothorn, who takes a Shadow Ball, sets up a Leech Seed, and then finally succumbs to another Shadow Ball. Dex sends in Ditto, who's going to transform into the Dragon Bolt himself. Outspeed, obviously, because it's Choice Scarf Imposter Ditto, so it's going to outspeed the other one. And yeah, Rick sends in Jellicent. Dex sends in Vaporeon to take the Hex, and before he dies, he's going to use Wish so that the next Pokemon that he switches in can heal up. Dex sends in Roserade, threatens with the Giga Drain, but he goes for a Sludge Bomb, which Crobat resists, but either way, after all the Stealth Rock damage, he's going to faint. So, in comes Swellow, whose Facade or Facade does 100% one-hit KO. Dex is going to send in Ditto now, which is going to copy the stats. Dex goes for a Brave Bird on the Jellicent, gets the KO. Rick ends in Swampert, 39%. Spikes Stealth Rock Poison, but he still lives the Brave Bird. Rick goes for Scald, gets the burn. Not that it matters that much, does it? Oh yeah, no, because he would have had an extra turn. So that was quite an important moment right there. So Rick sends in Sylveon now, who uses Z Celebrate. But he's not going to do much because even with the speed boost, Dex still outspeeds. But Rick goes for the Brave Bird, his final Pokemon, taking down the Virizion with Brave Bird, living with 4% HP. That was a hell of a match. Good games to the both of you. And yeah, that's it. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so in theory, the next match was going to be Louis versus JJ, but unfortunately, on one of JJ's daily trips to the shed, he's accidentally been locked in, and not even the might and power of JJ's head can get through the walls of the shed. So whilst Louis has been warming up with his Pokemon, getting ready to battle it out, JJ was a no-show, so we don't have footage of that match. Therefore, we're going to move right on to Joe versus Luke. Okay, so let's have a look at Joe's home lineup. Surprisingly, to the shock of many, he's not running a rain team, and it's quite a more balanced team in comparison to last week's. Possibly that's sweeping 6-0 defeat, crippling his mental strength. That's not the word I'm looking for, but whatever. So he's gone for something completely different this time. He's running a 2-1-2-1. So you've got Buzzwole and Milotic sitting at the back as the defensive and special defensive walls. Sitting in the middle as the defensive midfielder, you got Araquanid, who'll be looking to set up entry hazards and support the rest of his team. And then on the flanks, you've got Raikou and Heatran. They'll be looking to come in, deal some damage, and switch back out. And finally, up top, you got Serperior as the target man. He'll be looking to start a sweep with his Leaf Storm boost, thanks to his contrarian ability. And there we have it. That's the home team lineup. Let's have a look at the away team. Okay, so this is the away team that Luke set up with. Once again, quite the balanced team. Luke definitely set up to counter a rain team, but was caught off guard when Joe didn't go with that. He's got two solid centre-backs in Jellicent and Muck. They both cover each other's weaknesses. One's a physical wall, one's a special wall. Sitting in the middle, you've got the box-to-box midfielder Rillaboom. He'll be running back to help out defend, but also we're looking to get up top and go for some KOs himself. As the attacking midfielder sitting in front of Rillaboom, we've got Electrode. He'll be outspeeding most Pokemon, looking to support his team as well with Light Screen, or simply score some KOs himself from any weakened Pokemon. And then up top, you got two poachers in Excadrill and Barraskewda. They'll just be looking to be switched in, get some hits in, maybe get a KO or two, and then switch back out. So that's a 2-1-1-2. A nice balanced formation there. So you've seen the teams. Let's go straight to the highlights. Okay, so Joe versus Luke now. Like I mentioned before, Joe going with a non-weather team that completely caught Luke off guard, who'd prepared his team for a rain dance team, but Joe clearly expected people to prepare for the weather team, so he's gone for something completely different. Some fans are saying that he's not staying true to his beliefs, but whether or not that pays off, we shall see now. So Joe is going to lead with the Araquanid. Holic's going to start off with Excadrill, goes for the Rock Slide, gets the first turn flinch. That action replay truly doing the business there. Joe's going to switch out to Buzzwole now, who can easily tank the Rock Slide. Luke switches out to Jelly Scent. Joe predicts that, goes to Araquanid, sets up Sticky Web, outspeeding the Jelly Scent as he does. And now Joe switched in the Will-O-Wisp, hoping to get the burn because that would actually help it out. But that misses. And Luke predicts a Toxic and switches in Muck. Muck then goes for a knockoff on the Araquanid, which Joe clearly sacrificed. And takes it out. Joe then switches in Heatran, uses Earth Power. That's not going to do anything. So he decides to just set up Stealth Rock. And Holic gets the paralysis through Thunder Punch. The data mining clearly doing a good job. So Joe's just going to hit away at the Muck. Gets paralyzed there. He did go for an Earth Power, but not that it matters. Eventually, he was going to get paralyzed anyway. Goes for the flip turn. So Joe sends in Milotic. Outspeeds him anyway. Milotic goes for the Scald. That's not going to kill, nor is it going to get a burn. Luke then sends in Jelly Scent, but Joe expected that clearly and went for the Toxic. Then expecting a switch, went for the Dragon Tail, but if you don't have Stealth Rock up or anything, you're not going to do much. So Electro goes for its Z Power, Gigavolt Havoc. That gets a crit. Joe also gets a crit. Not that it's as worthy as the crit that Electro got. Switches in the Barraskewda. Joe's just going to sacrifice the Heatran. Sends in the Superior, but that's just going to bait out a switch, but he doesn't switch. Went for a close combat and unfortunately lost the Milotic. Then gets the Drill Run. Should have switched in the Buzzwole, but at that point there was not much he could do anyway. So just sets up a Bulk Up with the Buzzwole. Expecting the WoW anyway. But switches in Superior to take that. Better to be burned than poisoned. Goes for the Leaf Storm. Does 11%. Doesn't stay in. Decides to switch out. Perhaps... does set up Substitute here. Yeah. Sets up the Substitute. Doesn't go for another Leaf Storm. Wasn't too sure whether it would kill maybe. But yeah. I think at this point... there wasn't really much he could do. He needed something, a real clear opening, but with the team that Luke's got a full team there, and they're all faster than the rest of his squad. Goes for the Leaf Storm on the Rillaboom, gets a special attack boost. Ruben goes for Drain Punch, and then gets the KO with Grassy Glide next turn. It was a crit, but not that it matters. It's a super strong attack anyway. Sends in the Buzzwole. Buzzwole goes for... No, Rillaboom goes for the Drain Punch. Buzzwole roosts up. And, Joe then just goes for a Bulk Up. And it's at this point that he, regardless of the burn or not, he's just going to try and get as many stat boosts as possible to at least tank some hits. So goes for the second Bulk Up there whilst Jelly Scent taunts him. So now he needs to get a bit of luck with Iron Head flinches to even stand a chance, and possibly like stalling out the toxic damage. But to no avail. None of the Iron Heads are flinching at the moment, and the toxic damage isn't doing enough. And finally Jelly Scent's going to take it down. So Joe clearly washed up, lost, doesn't know what kind of setup to go with. Luke data mined a Rain Dance team, but came up against something else, which still managed to beat the counter team of the counter team. Just goes to show how strong that data mine really is. Okay, well, that's all the matches of the week. I hope you've enjoyed the video. and the highlights. I'm Omega Pit. You've been watching Match of the Day. See you all next weekend. Bye bye.
Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. If you don't, I don't care. Trick or treat, trick or treat, pull down your underwear.